Hello. In this video, I'll be going over some of the basics when using Roll20 for your next tabletop RPG session. I'll include timestamps in the description of this video. Enjoy the video. First, we will go over how to make a token. When making a token, all you have to do is drag the piece of art, whatever it is, to the stage. So today, I will be using this piece of art. This is just a token that I created in Hero Forge and threw into the token tool software that I actually have on my desktop. So we will go ahead and skip along to where it's fully uploaded. Now that we have our token on the stage, the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to really quickly resize this down to the size of one 5x5 cell, or basically one cell. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings, and you can see here in settings that you have a bunch of different options. You have the name, and you can actually have the nameplate shown, and you can also see that you have bar 1, bar 2, bar 3. Usually what I like to do with these is I want this to usually show the green bar to be the health. So I usually will scroll down here until you see HP, and then uh, I'll usually make this to be the AC, and this is the passive wisdom. It won't show until I actually attach a character sheet to this. As you scroll down, you can actually tint the token with a color, so that way if it's like poison, you can tint it green. You can add tooltips, which is pretty cool. You can hit show, and then whenever the GM puts the cursor over that token, it gives the tooltip. So like this is really useful if you have monsters and you need to have a little note that's really quick for you to read. You could put a tooltip on it. The token bar option that's right here, this will actually show your bottom overlapping is usually what I pick, but basically it'll show the health bar at the bottom. You can also compact it if you want. I usually don't. Uh, there's also a section here for GM notes. So if you want to jot down notes on this token, if you want to jot down notes about the player or whatever, you could put it here. Dynamic lighting. If you want to use dynamic lighting, which I'm pretty sure you will, all you have to do is just click it on. If they have night vision or dark vision, you can hit this, and then you can actually change the distance of dark vision, and you can actually add if it's nocturnal or if it's dimming, and you can play around with that. Limited field of vision, you can play around with that, and it does like the different angles. Uh, Token can emit light. This is good for like if you want to make a torch token, just that way you can just give the players a torch that's a token that's already in your journal here, your character journal, and you can just drag it out onto the scene. Sometimes I'll do that. Same thing with low light, and then the total light, which is the amount of light that's emitted from that token. Um, don't bother using legacy. Legacy is getting cycled so once you have your settings here, which let me go ahead and just throw together, attach this on a sheet real quick, and we'll be right back. Wanted to add this in really quick. Whenever you're making your character, right, you go up here to add, and you hit character, and it will come up with this right here. You can upload a piece of art, and then what you're going to do is once you have your settings set, you just click this, which will show this whenever you click it, and you'll just select your token, and then you'll hit use selected token, and that will actually add whatever the settings you set for that token. It will be saved to this character sheet, which will be very important later when we get to the character vault. Again, you can also add bio, GM notes, and everything here as well. If you want to give a player the ability to edit and control this token and this sheet, you will need to put their character name here. So usually if they're already a part of the game, you can just they'll give you a list, drop down list here of players that are actually in the game, and you just select the player's name. And you're also going to want to have the name of your character that you're wanting to make. All right, so now that we're back to editing our token, what we can do now is, since now we've created the character sheet, we can go in here and we can select our character, Jim, which will then automatically fill out the name with the same name as what's on the character sheet. And we can go ahead and select nameplate. Now we're going to go in and we're going to make our settings. So first things first, we're going to do HP. So let's see, where are you at? HP, there you are. Then we're going to go ahead and pick AC. And then we're going to go ahead and pick Passive Wisdom, which is in the P's all the way down. And I usually pick Passive Wisdom. You can put whatever you want here, but I usually do that for the Passive Perception. And if we had values on this character sheet, which I didn't fill out beforehand, it would automatically fill in these values here. So for now, I'm just going to pretend like we have 10. And we're going to put 13 armor value, and let's just put a 13 passive perception. All right, and so next we're going to go ahead and do bottom overlapping. So that way the health bar is overlapping the bottom. And then we want to make sure that our dynamic lighting is on, and we can go ahead and hit save. And see, now as you can see, the you can see Jim now actually has a health bar on the bottom, and actually you can see his name right below him. And I always found that this is the most aesthetically pleasing in Roll20. And now if we go here, we change it to 8. And we change it to 8. And there you go. And now you can see that the health bar has dropped to 8. And it's visible and it's nice. I know some DMs don't really care about having health bars revealed to players, because that way the players can, they can have a talk conversation with themselves, trying to figure out what each player's health is. But I've always felt like it's good to reveal it. But if you don't have to, though, if you really don't want to reveal it, you can actually just hide it by just deleting one of these, which is, this is your max, and you can just go ahead and just save this, and now you can see the health bar has disappeared. So if you don't want to reveal that, that's fine. I still feel like it's a good idea to reveal the nameplate, but that's up to you. If you guys have any more questions on how to make tokens, or how to create the character sheets, please let me know. Our next topic will be importing characters from your character vault. So now that we've actually created our token, now we can go ahead and move on to importing this character into our character vault. So this is going to be more for the players. And the DM will also need to activate in the game how to let the players actually import their characters into the game. And we'll go over that after we go over this. But first, let's go ahead and get our character in the character vault. So you're going to go back to the Roll20 homepage. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go up here to Tools. And you're going to see Character Vault. Now, of course, I've already got a couple characters in here, but don't mind that. And you're going to see this big blue button right here that says Import Existing Character. All right, now that we're going to be here, you'll see Import Character. You can import characters from any game. So we're going to go ahead and select our game, which for this game, which is where I have it, is I named it Testing Grounds. So this is like my play space. I'm going to go ahead and select the character Jim. We're going to go ahead and hit Import. So now Jim has been imported into our character vault. So if I scroll all the way down to the character vault, I already had Jim imported here. But we can see that we imported right here. Imported on 6/29/2022. So this is really useful if you're like wanting to update your character token or anything like that. You can actually go in and you can see the date of when you last imported it. Now, let's say I want to take this character and I want to import it in the game. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go ahead and just delete my character here. So that way it's not going to be in the game anymore, and delete the token. Alright, so now I want to import Jim back into the testing grounds. So I'm going to scroll down here, hit this drop down right over here for your import, and I'm going to look for testing grounds. I'm going to hit export to game. Your character has been successfully exported. This is what you want to see. So now we're going to go back to testing grounds, and you can see Jim has popped back into my character journal. Now I can see that it's there, it's right there. So I'm just going to exit that because that's for some reason glitching out. You have to pop it out in order to exit it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this into play, and you can see that Jim has all of our settings, and he's got all of our health. He's even got the same health as what I added in earlier. And you see if I go in here, it's all the same. See? So that is how you import and export a character from the character vault and back into another game. The last part of the importing and exporting characters, the DM will need to actually go in and allow the players to import characters. So you're going to go up here to games, and you're going to go to your game that you want to change the setting in. So we go to testing grounds. This is my game. And you're going to see this drop down that says settings. You're going to click this, and you're going to game settings. And if you scroll down, you'll see allow players to import their own characters. We want to select yes on this. And then you're going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to hit save changes. And there you go. That makes it to where the players can import characters. Our next topic will be how to add music to your game. So to add music to your game, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go over here to your tab, right here. All right, and then what you'll do is you'll hit this blue button that says Manage Audio. You hit Manage Audio, and you'll have your playlists and your tracks. Now we can go ahead and create a new playlist. So let's go ahead and edit this and call it Test. So this is our test playlist. Now, what you can do is you can go to Tracks, and you can upload a brand new track here. And there's also a bunch of built-in audio that you could use. Let's just say we want to acid blast spell. How about tabletop audio? Abandoned fair. How about we go ahead and add this? You can click add, and you can select the playlist. So we're going to select our playlist, and we're going to add it to it. So now, if I go to playlist, and you can see it's now in the playlist. And now we can go ahead and hit add to game, and you'll see that it's been added to our game. And so now we can play the audio. And you can actually scrub the audio just like this. So you can go to whatever highlights in the audio that you want. And you can also do, like I said, you can do this with your own audio. But this is the one. This is audio that's actually built into Roll20. So Roll20 has actually got a lot of audio bits that you can use, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Now we'll move on to going over how to change scenes in your Roll20 game. Next, I'll be going over how to change scenes during your game. So if you go up here, you'll see that there's this blue button up here, which this is your scene selection. So right now I only have one page, which is my start. So I'll go ahead and create another page. So let's say I create this other page, and let's just say this is now our next scene, right? So you can actually title these scenes. So let's just say this is going to be, how about Scary Cave? This is Scary Cave. This is going to be the Scary Cave that everybody is going to go to. I don't know why I didn't save it. Hold on 1 second. So Scary Cave. Enter. There we go. I had to enter. So then now we have the Scary Cave. So let's just say I want to be able to get my players over to the Scary Cave. There's this red ribbon here, and you can just drag this over here, which now your players should all be switched over to this next scene. And you can go back and forth. And now with these scenes here, you'll also be able to come over here and you can go to settings. And this will make it to where you can change the size of your scenes, you can change the background colors, you can drop images in there, of course, for like maps. You can change this the grid size for distance, grid type, square, measurements, cell width, color. You can mess around with all these different settings. One of the big things you're going to want to do in here is you're going to go ahead and change this movement from dynamic lighting barrier restrict movement. This will be really important when we get to the the dynamic lighting section of the video. But so you're going to want to select this on probably. You're also probably going to want to do standard fog of war. That way, the players can actually move through, and then once they move through, it will gray out everything behind them so they don't see an active view of where they've been, but they get like a gray view, almost like an RTS type of game. Yeah, and then you can also go ahead, you can actually add some of your playlists, like we can add our Abandoned Fair soundtrack that we made earlier. We can actually add that to the scene. Go ahead and hit save our settings, and that actually saves the settings for this. But that's how you actually change scenes, and that's how you do the settings for each scene. And see, now that we've actually changed the scene, it started playing the audio that we had placed on this scene. The last topic we'll be discussing today is how to add dynamic lighting to your game while also adding collision to your walls. The last and most important thing that we're probably going to cover in this video is dynamic lighting and collision for walls. So you really want to make sure that when you're doing dynamic lighting and collision, that you make sure there's enough room for your tokens to go through. Sometimes it can get a little bit weird if you don't make enough room. Some of these are pretty tight quarters. You can see now that we're in our scary cave. And so what we're going to do is you're going to go over here to the left, and you're going to see that there's different layers. There's the map background layer, there's the object token layer, the GM layer, and the dynamic lighting. And I'll go over these really quick. So you got the map and background. So this is the map and background layer, which is what this map is sitting on. There's also the GM info layer, which is basically I can put information that I don't want my players to see on the map, like, for example, room numbers or where trap locations are, or that type of information, and I don't want my players to know about it. So that's where you're going to put that. Now, the dynamic lighting layer is what we're really going to be messing around with right now. So we go to the dynamic lighting layer. So now you can see that we're on the dynamic lighting, and you're going to go over here and you're going to see this draw tool. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to take this polygon line tool, and we want to make sure you have two different options. You have a one-way wall and you have a regular wall. One-way wall will only make it to where it's only visible one way and it's only blocking one way. The other wall is just a normal wall. So we're going to just want to get our normal wall, and you want to get, it's a good idea to get something that's like a bright pink or something that's really visible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to wall in our area that we really want to have our dynamic lighting for. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to wall in this whole thing right here. And let's just say that this is also dynamically lit and blocked. So there we go. Now we've got our circle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the object token layer. Right? And then we want to make sure that our settings is set. So we want to have collision and we want to have fog of war. And we want to make sure that all of our settings and dynamic lighting, we need to make sure our dynamic lighting is on. So we go over here and we make sure that's turned on. And you can mess around with some of these other settings like explore mode and daylight mode stuff. But some of these settings will actually bog your game down for people who actually have machines that are not as powerful. So be careful, play with this at your own risk. So we're going to go ahead and hit save settings. So now, what we're going to do is, if you really want to test how this works, what we can do is we can go down here and say rejoin as player. So we're going to rejoin as a player. We got to wait for it to load. And we'll come back once it's fully loaded. So now that our game has loaded back up, as you can see, our character can now have a vision. If I move over here, you can see that it's only showing this part of the room because that's all the character can see. And then if I move around the corner, it reveals more of the corner. This is super useful when creating maps, and Roll20 makes it pretty easy for you to be able to draw these the lines out. And as you can see, if I try to move past these walls, I can't. That's the collision. So I'm able to actually not run through the walls. Now, if I go back to being a GM real quick, and we go back to being a GM, and we change the settings up here, and we want to turn off the collision. So we turn off the collision so light barriers don't act as collision anymore. And now we go back to rejoining as a player. You'll see that you will actually be able to walk through the walls. Of course, my token disappears. Let's just refresh the page. And there you go. There's our token. So now you can see, oh, I'm able to walk through these walls now. And I have no collision. So you really want to make sure that you select that option if you want to have collision to keep your players from walking through your walls. Thank you for watching this video. I hope the information provided in this video will help you for your next tabletop RPG session. Have a wonderful day.